Hello everybody, we are working with 1 cup of warm water. Make sure you heat it up in a microwave for 30 seconds so it's not too hot, not too cold. 4 tablespoons of sugar and 1 full pack of active dry yeast. And yes, yeast is vegan. Make sure you add your sugar into your water, make sure it's thoroughly mixed up, and then add your active dry yeast and make sure it's thoroughly mixed as well. So after 30 minutes, this is what your starter is going to look like. It's going to poof up to 2 cups in the side here. You're going to need to sift and go through 2 cups of all-purpose flour for this next step. Sift it 1 cup at a time until it's nice and fine, getting out all the lumps. And now you're going to add your 2 cups of water with the starter mix in with your sifted 2 cups of flour. And you're going to mix it up with your hand until it's finally incorporated properly. You are going to want to keep mixing this until it's fully incorporated, but you might want to add more flour into your mix until it becomes a nice firm ball and it's no longer sticky to the fingers. This is what your dough should look like, and you might want to go ahead and put it on the counter covered with a towel for about an hour. Now we're revealing what this dough looks like after the first rising. Anytime you make any type of pizza dough, you're going to go ahead and add more flour to this mixture and remix and reincorporate, and then go ahead and cover it up again for another hour and let it rise another time. Now we're adding more flour and we're going to do another remix again, and then we're going to go ahead and knead the dough until it's fully incorporated and recover it back up again for about another hour. We're going to chop up 4 organic on the vine tomatoes, 2 bell peppers, 1 red, 1 green, and then we're going to be chopping up some onion, about half of an onion. I'm going to save the other half for the sauce, and then we're going to be chopping about 4 to 5 cremini mushrooms. We're going to use 1 onion. I'm going to cut it up in half. We're going to use half of it for later for our sauce and half of it for our topping of our pizza. Notice I have the tomatoes separated from the rest of the vegetables because of the tomatoes keep leaking their liquid. Today I'm going to use the provolone style slices instead of the other cheese. We're going to pick out 6 slices out to put together, and we are going to go on ahead and slice them into thin strips so it represents shredded cheese. Hope you enjoy! We're going to start off with 2 cans of tomato sauce, 15 ounces each. No salt added if preferred. And then we're going to add a half an onion, some olive oil, 2 of the tomatoes and 5 of the cremini mushrooms. We're going to start out with some granulated garlic, some salt and pepper, and about 3 tablespoons of oregano leaves and some vegetable bouillon cube. And this is actually a vegan organic version. We're going to finely dice this onion into small chunks as much as possible. This is for the sauce, so make it as small as possible. We're going to be chopping about 4 to 5 cremini mushrooms and chop them up very, very fine because these are going to go into our sauce. And here we're going to rough chop 2 of our tomatoes up roughly, and this is going to go into the sauce. I'm going to put them up as small as possible so that they dissolve properly into the sauce. We are also going to be adding 2 tablespoons of sherry cooking wine into this, and then we're going to be dividing it in half. Go ahead and put your pan on the high heat for a little while, and then add your olive oil into it, about 2 tablespoons of your cold pressed olive oil, and then go ahead and add your onions. As you are sauteing your onions, add a little bit of salt so that they sweat inside the pan, adding their oils into the flavoring of the oil. About this time, add in the mushrooms and saute the onions until they are nice and translucent into the sauce. Also notice we're keeping our heat on high heat continuously. About this time, we're going to be adding in our roughly chopped tomatoes and we're going to saute that until they are nice and soft. About this time into the cooking process, I start adding all my oregano in. I find that the heat actually heats the elements of the dry herb. And then I'm also going to add in both cans of the tomato sauce and continue to stir. And then we're going to add the salt, the pepper, and the garlic to taste into our dish. Just after that we had added in our tomato sauce, and we're going to add in the vegetable bouillon cubes, and we're only going to add 1. I'm going to break it up so it evenly dissolves into the sauce. Adds a nice saltiness into the dish. After this, we're going to go ahead and cover up the sauce and let it simmer for about 10 to 15 minutes. We're going to take the lid off and go ahead and keep stirring this until it becomes perfect. We are going to keep stirring this sauce and keep cooking this sauce until it becomes nice and thick. About this point in the sauce, you're going to want to take the lid off and keep making sure that it is so thick that when you scrape the bottom of the pan, that the sauce does not come back to itself as fast. You're going to use Smart Balance because it's vegan. It's a vegan alternative to butter. I'm going to melt this Smart Balance and make a 1/4 cup melted so it goes over our dough before we bake it. So the Smart Balance is melted and it comes out to be a 1/4 cup. Now we're at the second time of this dough. I'm going to go ahead and reveal it and take it out. And we're going to add more flour and re-knead it so we can start dividing these dough into 2 different dough balls. Now we're going to take our dough and knead it for the last time, and we're going to divide it in half into 2 different dough balls. And then we're going to roll them out, and then we're going to slap them in half and then recombine them again and to make one entire giant piece, and we'll roll it out and put it into our already pre-buttered pan. Here you see me taking in with a barbecue brush, just painting in that melted vegan butter into the pan just so that the dough doesn't stick inside the pan as you're cooking it. And we're going to take the rest of that and put it on the outside of that. Now we're going to flour our counter and make it very, very dirty with flour, and we're going to put our dough in and roll it all the way out so it's nice and flat. So we can go ahead and put it into our pan and start making our pizza. I rolled out the dough inside the pan as much as I could and formed it in with my hands, and I had added the vegan butter into it, and then I started layering in my vegan sauce I had made, and then I started assembling the vegan cheese and all the rest of the vegetables on top. And I went right on ahead and put butter back onto the actual sides of the crust and put it into the oven. Okay, bake this at 375 degrees for approximately 45 to 55 minutes depending on the strength of your oven. And also while you are cooking, go ahead and butter the sides of this, and as it keeps basting, halfway into cooking the tomatoes will start to juice up inside there, so you're going to need to take it out and drain some of that juice and put it back in for the remainder of the time. And this is the final product. Isn't this a beauty? Don't you want to try this even if you're not even vegan at all? Doesn't this look like a real pizza with the real cheese and stuff? It is so delicious and so delectable, especially with that butter and that crust and that butter all around there. It's so yummy. I'm going to tell you, it's just so good.